The Liminal Zone is a collection of stories by Junji Ito. Now, this one is a lot different from his other ones because instead of having a really bunch of different short stories, there's only four in this collection, and they're a lot longer. And honestly, for me, I feel like it benefits the stories because it's like, you know, more to say, more scares, more development. Sometimes a lot of his shorter ones are so short they almost feel like almost like a I don't want to say like Goosebumps, but like if you've read Goosebumps, you know that a lot of the books end kind of awkwardly. You know, it'll be like something like, oh man, we went to summer camp and I got bit by a werewolf, and then most of the story is like the werewolf stuff, but then they'll have like a big crazy twist at the end where like everyone's a werewolf or something, or like, you know, it's like an initiation. Some of his shorter stories do have those shocking endings where it's just kind of short, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can have like a quick, you know, just scary story that's really short and just there to be like weird. Sometimes he'll just take an idea and he doesn't have much to go with it, so he'll just, you know, write a short story that's really short, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes the endings don't make sense, but with these ones in the Liminal Zone, they're a lot longer. You know, each story I think gets a solid amount of pages. Let me look at the table of contents. Yeah, I mean, like the first one alone gets what is this, 64 pages just for the first story, and then another 60 and 40. Yeah, so like I like the fact that these stories are a little bit longer. It definitely different, you know, you get a different sort of pacing vibe for one, rather than reading like, you know, 20 short ones. So the first one's called The Weeping Woman Way. It is about this couple that meet a crying woman, and she's hired professionally to cry, and the whole thing is about crying and stuff, but then it quickly devolves into like a cult-like thing. I really like this one. This one was a great start to the stories. A lot of crazy imagery. And the second one's called Madonna, creepy religious story. This one was pretty good too. A lot of disturbing usage of like religious aspects, like the praying and later on the miracles and stuff. That one was really good too. I think the weakest one was probably the last one, but I remember the third one was the third one was the one in the forest where that one was okay too. That one felt like one of the short ones, but made longer, you know, where, you know, it's like you find something and it just sort of develops, and then it just keeps getting worse until you get to the most possible worst outcome. So I feel like the first two stories are a lot stronger than the last two. The last two are the one with the forest, and there's like this light thing that goes through the forest, and when you stand in the light it changes you. And then the last one is about like a man who keeps seeing his eyes through a serial killer or something, and it wasn't that interesting. So the Liminal Zone is different from all the other collections of short stories because you're only getting 4, and they're a lot longer and more developed than your usual collection. So that one was, you know, this one was a little bit more memorable for me, and I definitely enjoyed it. So those are my thoughts on the Liminal Zone by Junji Ito.